Hello everyone, Tom Nappy here, and welcome to HCAM Sports Talk. On today's edition, we preview this year's Hopkinton Hillers fall teams, so sit back, relax, and enjoy a look at this year's fall teams. Hopkinton Hillers boys soccer finished last season with 19 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. The Hillers had an absolutely incredible run all the way to the Division II state finals, but fell in heartbreaking fashion to Oliver Ames. This year, they bring back some good experience and look to get back to the postseason.
I'm Will Bilobreski, center back.
Carlos Henkel, center mid.
Sean McCann, center back.
Jack Iannelli, forward.
Drew Bilobreski, forward and midfield. Team's looking great. Couldn't ask for a better group of guys. Come to practice every day, work hard. We've had some of the best warm-up sessions we've ever had. We have a saying, win the warm-up, and we've been doing that. We've been getting the results we've wanted throughout the preseason. Just hoping to carry that into the regular season.
Yeah, we obviously have a lot of new guys on the team after losing about 15 seniors, so it's definitely different than it was last year in terms of like team bonding and the culture that we have. We've sort of had to build that back up with bonding with like the younger kids, and like even we have one freshman that made the team, so to have that is pretty special, and to be able to build something is cool.
Yeah, Jack Iannelli mentioned it. We really started building that chemistry again because we had a really great group of guys last year and a lot of new guys this year, so we had to build that chemistry back up. But each day, each practice, we come in trying to work hard, ready to compete. Preseason went really well, but now we're moving on to the regular season, trying to win each game there.
Yeah, just like the culture is a big part of our team, and I believe like that's why we've had a lot of success these past couple of years, just because we're basically a family. Like we do a lot of stuff together, and we're just very bought into the program, and we're kind of doing a great job of bringing that back this year. And all the boys are looking really nice out there, and everyone's just really excited to get this season going.
Yeah, especially with a lot of new guys on the team, we've really found ways to bring the whole team together. Shout out Sachi, the hibachi restaurant. That was one of the best bonding moments we've ever done as a team, and it was great just to get to know the new guys and come together as one group. So that was awesome.
All right, and do you have any goals for the season, whether it's personal goals or team goals?
Personal goals, stay as healthy as I can be, and team goals, win TVLs and hopefully make a good state run.
Just for like team goals, I want to win TVL again, and I also want to see if we can make another state championship run and get some revenge from last year.
The biggest thing is I want to have no regrets at the end of the season, knowing that I put all I had on the field and like all my effort. Another actual goal is I'm hoping to let up less goals, or the defense to let up less goals than we did last season, which was a school record. So less than 14 goals in the regular season is what I'm hoping for.
I think this season for the returning seniors and all of us is mostly about respect. Since we lost all those seniors, they kind of, or as people will say, they carried this team last year. So in order for us to gain our respect and to have people respect us, we need to get back to the playoffs and make one of those runs that we did last year to show that it wasn't just them, but they did contribute.
Yeah, I mean, just to add, have fun. I mean, it's senior year for all 5 of us. I mean, let's make some memories, have fun on the pitch, off the pitch, and I mean, make it far in the TVL and in the playoffs. Hopefully, I know that's a goal. We're a bit hesitant to say make it back to the state chip because I mean everyone thinks we're not going to be as good because we lost 15 guys, but I think it's definitely doable if we we keep our eyes on it.
Head coach Garrett Sawyer returns to the helm and is looking forward to what this team has in store.
Yeah, I think one of the keys to our success the last couple of years, and I think again this year, is a really strong group of seniors that understand how to lead, how to set a good example, how to work hard, how to create a positive team culture. So we're lucky we keep getting that, and definitely it's going to help us again this year.
Absolutely, and a lot of new faces coming in after losing a good amount of seniors last year. Can you talk about some of the new guys that you got on the squad this year?
Yeah, we've got quite a few guys up from the JV team that I think are going to work out well in a lot of different positions. Some that are more attacking, some more defensive, but they're gelling well with the rest of the group. And I think I really think one of our strengths this year is we have depth. I think we can take any guy off the bench and plug him in, and it's not going to make a difference on the field. So we're really lucky to have that as well.
I've got a question for the assistant coach over here. Coach, what are some of the things that you've been working on with the team to prepare for the season?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing that Coach mentioned was that we have a strong culture, a strong team culture. And just like tactics on the field or conditioning or what have you, we have to practice that as well. So we do a lot of classroom sessions, a lot of working on, establishing core values, establishing goal setting. And one thing that I think really helped us last year was that we really established that culture. And, as Coach said, we have some strong senior leaders this year that can instill that in some of the younger guys. And, that's, I think, going to really help us this year, especially when times get tough. Everyone knows it's a slog of a season. But like I said, it's something that we have to practice.
Absolutely, and I'd imagine the team, after that tremendous run last year that didn't end the way we wanted it, is hungry to get back into that postseason.
Yeah, we're just taking it one game at a time. We have a tradition where after every game, every practice, one of our captains, they, metaphorically turn the page, and whether it's on the bus or on the field. So yeah, it's in the past. We use our failure as fuel, certainly, but we have an 18-game regular season, and we're just taking it one game at a time. We're not, looking forward too much.
And I'll both of you answer this one. Is there any goals that you got for what you'd like to accomplish this season?
Yeah, good question. I think for me is just, as and Coach mentioned it too, is just to maintain that culture that we've worked really hard to build. And some of the tactical stuff will always be there that we can work on, at practice. But, we really believe that a lot of the, cultural aspects of our team, like I said, that we've worked really hard to instill and maintain, is just going to be maintaining that through thick and thin this year. And that's, I think, a test of a strong program. When the going gets tough, especially in the TVL too, everyone knows how tough it is to play in this league. When there are bumps in the road, that's really where our, we'll find out what we're made of.
Yeah, and I think definitely building on that, I think the culture helps create an environment where we can achieve our maximum potential as a group. And it's going to take some time. Like you said, there's a lot of new guys, even though we have quite a few seniors back from last year. And so I think another big goal is get a little bit better every day, a little bit better every week, and see where we're at the end of the season.
Absolutely. And any opponents that you're particularly looking to play this season? Any games you're looking forward to?
Every game in our league's tough. So like Coach said, it's just the next opponent, whoever it is.
Hiller Boys Soccer opens their regular season on the road at Ashland on Tuesday, September 5th. Their first home game will be on Thursday, September 7th versus Norwood at 4 p.m. Hopkinton Hillers Girls Volleyball featured a young team last season and a first-year head coach. The Hillers qualified for the playoffs, losing in the early stages, but finished with 11 wins and 10 losses overall, despite their lack of experience. This year, the Hillers feature some good, experienced leadership.
I'm Sienna, and I play DS Libero.
I'm Abby, and I also play DS Libero.
So far, I think we're looking really good. We had our first scrimmage yesterday, and it was really good, and I'm really excited for the season.
I also agree with Sienna. We had a nice start to our season with playing LS, who is usually a big competitor of ours. But yeah, it went pretty well, I think.
Terrific. And you talk about some of the new girls on the team and how they are adjusting.
Yeah, so we have a few new players this year, some underclassmen and one freshman. And I think they're adjusting really well. Our freshman, Evie Woodbury, is sisters to Elsa Woodbury, who's also on the team, so I think that's great. And yeah, I think it's going really well.
Yeah, I think the underclassmen and the new players are adjusting really well. We have already great team chemistry, and yeah, so good start.
All right. And do you have any personal or team goals you'd like to reach this season?
I think one of our team goals is we want to win TVL champs. Yeah, we're not sure if we can get there yet, but I think if we put in a lot of work in practice and scrimmages and stuff, we might be able to get there.
And then obviously our big goal is to be state champs again. That would be great, but it is a big goal, but I think we can get there. Yeah.
Emily Sweetapple returns to the helm this season and looks to bring the Hillers back to their glory days.
They're looking really good, especially for this point in the season. This is only our 5th practice, so we already had our first preseason scrimmage yesterday against Lincoln Sudbury, so we saw a lot of really strong highlights and some things that we need to work on heading into this season. So we're really excited.
A couple of good captains there with some good experience. Can you talk about your captains this season?
Yeah, so we're missing one of our captains today. So Kelly Strickland, Abby Hebert, and Sienna Verna. They've all been on varsity for at least 2 years. Abby, this is her 3rd year. So they've got varsity experience. They were leaders on the court even as juniors. And they were really great with working with the underclassmen on the team last year. So I think they're going to do a really great job leading this team this year.
Absolutely. I noticed a few new faces this season. Can you talk about some of the new personnel you have?
Yeah, so we've got a few new juniors, we've got a few sophomores, and we even have a freshman this year. So a lot of young talent, much like we had last year, and we've got a really high ceiling this year, so I'm excited to see what they can accomplish.
All right, terrific. And have you had any scrimmages yet? Can you talk about how those went?
Yeah, so we scrimmaged against Lincoln Sudbury yesterday. We played 5 sets, we lost 4 of them. Lincoln Sudbury is a really strong team, and the girls really held their own, and they showed a lot of strengths that we have this season. So
The Hillers open the season on the road and will have their first home game on Friday, September 8th, hosting Norwood. Hopkinton Hillers football is heading into their 2nd year with head coach Mark Sanborn at the helm. Last year, they finished the season with 8 wins and 3 losses, and they were one of the top teams in the TVL. Despite their good record, they just missed the playoffs, but look to take the extra step this season. The team will be under some good experienced leadership.
I'm Charlie Petrini. I'm outside linebacker and slot receiver.
I'm Jason Gerard. I'm offensive tackle and defensive tackle.
Carlos Linton. I'm middle linebacker.
I think the team's been really good. We have a lot of energy every practice. Everyone's been working hard. A lot of competition for spots, and that's good for a team. Pushes everyone to work hard. We got our second scrimmage on this Friday. So.
Yeah, everyone's working really hard. We're pushing each other. Everyone's giving it 100% and a lot of competition for spots.
Yeah, like they said, everyone's working their butts off, competing. You know, every day we come out here trying to get better, and we got big goals for the season. So.
And a lot of returning players, but some new faces. How are the new guys look?
The juniors are definitely stepping up on offense and defense. Everyone's really athletic, and they're going to be a big role for this season too.
Yeah, we lost a lot of key pieces last year, but all the juniors are really filling in those spots exactly where the seniors left, and I expect them to pick up right where the seniors left off.
Yeah, I mean, the juniors are going to be some key players this year. A lot of athletes in that class, and we're just excited to see what they can do.
And do you have any personal goals or
I know we all want to win the TVL championship. That's our main goal, and then make playoffs and do well in playoffs as a team.
Yeah, I'm really focused on the team goals this year. I think the TVL championship's the big one, and we've got to get over the hump and beat Holliston this year.
Yeah, same as them. Just focus on the team, really. Gotta get back for last year, beat Holliston, get that TVL chip.
Mark Sanborn returns for his second season as Hiller football head coach.
Everything's going well. Kids are working hard. We've had really competitive practices on a daily basis. We not only have good numbers, but we have a lot of guys that can play, and we have a lot of open spots, so we're trying to figure out right now the evaluation aspect and seeing who's stepping up and getting guys opportunities to play in practice and in the scrimmages we've had. And just kind of focusing on the varsity first and then working our way down from there. But everyone's working hard. Seniors are leading by example, starting at the top with the captains. We had a great scrimmage yesterday against Dover Sherburne, and we're looking forward to scrimmaging Concord Carlisle this Friday. So, yeah, all's going well.
this season after your last season?
Well, every season you graduate players, and we lost a number of good players last year, a good senior class on the whole. And part of our job as coaches is figuring out what scheme and what plays and what formations fit our personnel the best. So we've made some adjustments, offensive side of the ball, defensive side of the ball, as well as special teams. But it all started in the off-season. Kids got after in the weight room and really bought in and committed this off-season. So you're starting to see it translate on the field. And like I say, these guys, we're just taking it one day at a time and getting better every day.
And I saw some new faces out there. How are the new guys looking?
They're great. Our younger guys have been awesome. They're starting to understand the flow of practice and the tempo that it needs to be at. And like I said, our seniors have set the tone, starting with the captains at the top. But everyone's doing well. Everyone's learning, getting reps. We're teaching things. And like I said, you feel like there's so much to teach, so little time. But we feel like we're in a good spot right now, and we're looking forward to hitting another team on Friday in Concord Carlisle.
And it looks like you got more home games in the beginning part of the home schedule this season. You must like that a little bit more.
Yes, it's always good to be at home. We have a great fan base, great community support. We've been playing Wayland now for the first in week one of our season ever since I've been coaching, which is 10 or 11 years now. So it's always a good matchup, and it's always good to play them at home. So we're looking forward to next week as well.
Hiller football opens the regular season Friday night at home as they host Wayland at 7 p.m. The Hopkinton Hillers Girls Soccer team is coming off a season in which they finished with 13 wins, 4 losses, and 3 ties, including a playoff win over Lexington in the round of 32 before falling to an undefeated Bishop Fian team 2-0 in the Sweet 16 round of the state tournament. The team may have lost some seniors to graduation, but returns a very talented group of seniors.
Johanna DuPont, forward.
Juliana Gronzos, defender.
Georgie Clark, forward.
Brooke Burwissel, midfielder.
Steph Johnson, midfielder. Emily Scaff, defender.
Anna Scalora, forward.
Clark approaching. A nice move and a shot and a score!
How's everything going so far in these early practices, and how's the team working?
I think it's looking really good. Everyone's working really hard, and we're keeping the intensity up even when we're having a lot of practices all the time.
Yeah, I think it looks really promising, and I think that everyone's working together really well and that it's going to be a tight-knit team.
Yeah, I'm really excited for this year. I think we lost some good seniors last year, but we replaced them with some really talented underclassmen, and that's going to bode well for us this season.
I think the early practices and scrimmages, we've been showing a lot of potential to grow together as a team and be really good this season.
Yeah, I feel like we've been improving every day and like getting better as a team and closer.
Yeah, like everybody else said, I think we're starting off the season strong, especially with the good result from our scrimmage.
Since the beginning of practices, everyone's been working really hard, and I think we have a very promising season ahead of us.
And, do you have any team goals or personal goals for the season? And can you talk about some of the things you've been working on?
One big goal of ours is to win TVL again.
Yeah, definitely win TVL and go further in the tournament than we did last year.
Yeah, I agree. Further in the tournament would be like really cool.
I think one goal was to get a higher seeding for the tournament and start off with a strong game with a win under our belt.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I also think just the closer we can get as a team, it'll translate onto the field and we'll have more chemistry and be able to go further.
Yeah, I think going further in the tournament and winning the TVL again would be our main goals.
I agree. I think after a disappointing loss last year, going further in the state tournament would be really good.
All right. And you're all seniors this year. Can you talk about a few of your favorite memories being part of the Hopkinton Hillers soccer program?
I would say the psych-ups for games are pretty exciting. One thing that sticks in my mind is when we all dressed up and wore suits to school for business day. That's probably my favorite thing so far.
I like the Spaggers. It's like a spaghetti dinner, and I feel like we just get like closer off the field with each other, like spending quality time off the field.
Yeah, as much as preseason's like really tiring, I think we all grow a lot closer during that time, so I think that's really fun.
I really enjoy going out with the team after especially tough practices and just spending more time together and getting to know each other better.
I think like playing in difficult games together just kind of brings us closer, especially if we get the result that we're hoping for.
I think that the senior traditions, like the painting the cars, is really, really special, and I'm excited for it this year.
I think just being at games together is really special, like cheering on the sidelines or just like being motivated together as we play is really special.
Awesome. And is there a particular opponent that you're looking most forward to playing this year?
I don't want to say the same thing as everyone else. I'll say we had a really good game against Medfield. I think that's going to be a really good one again this year.
Same, Medfield and probably Holliston to see if they're going to come back.
I agree, Holliston in the TVL, but in the tournament we'd like to face Bishop Fian, kind of give them what we think they deserve.
I'd have to second that and put some emphasis on it. I'd say Bishop Fian. Yeah, but I also want to see other teams. Like we're playing Acton Boxborough at the Jamboree this weekend. I'm just excited to see all the talent in the league.
I agree, Bishop Fian, and I feel like a lot of teams in the TVL will be good. So like Medfield and like Westwood.
Yeah, I think like what everybody else said, I think Bishop Fian's probably my number one.
I think in the TVL, Westwood and Medfield would be tough games, so those are going to be exciting. But in the whole tournament, I think Bishop Fian and Hingham would be good games if we were to play them. So looking forward to that potentially.
Head coach Tom Skiba returns for his 5th year at the helm.
Team looks great. We had to replace a number of great seniors that left last year, but we're moving some returning players around, and we got some great underclassmen that are going to be significant role players for us, which is fantastic.
And it looks like you got a good group of seniors there, some great experience, and that must help this team in a big way, kind of just adjust to the new season.
Yeah, the senior group's fantastic. We've got a couple of 4-year players, a couple of 3-year players in there, and they're all great players and they're all great people as well.
And what about some of the new faces that we saw? I understand you have new goalkeepers that you'll be using this season.
Yeah, we graduated both goalies, and you know, in the off season we were a little concerned about that, but we've got 3 great goalkeepers that are really improving day to day, and we added a full-time goalkeeping coach, which has been a tremendous help for us.
And do you have any goals for what you'd like to achieve this season?
You know, the TVL Large, we'd love to be able to repeat as TVL Large champs this year. We've made the tournament every year that I've been here, and I'd love to actually get a home game this year. We've never been a high enough seed to get a home game, so those would be the 2 that are at the top of my list.
The Hiller Girls soccer regular season kicks off on Tuesday, September 5th, in which they host crosstown rival Ashland Clockers.
We're here at Hopkinton High School with the girls varsity soccer team. This is an exceptionally strong squad, having several players returning this year. For those of you that were watching, you know they went deep into the playoffs last year, ultimately losing to Bishop Fien in the semifinals, but winning the TVL Large in Week 7. Let's go talk to some of the players and coaches and see how the team is going to shape up. So we're standing here with the captains of the Hillers Girls Varsity Soccer. Let's introduce yourself. So first here, number 17.
I'm Juliana.
I'm Brooke.
I'm Joe.
I'm Steph.
So girls, looking at you guys are the returning squad, looking at the season ahead, how do you like your chances?
I actually really like our chances. Like every practice we get more and more confident about how we play, and we're just getting more comfortable as a team, and the chemistry's growing, so I'm really looking forward to where we go and how far we go in tournaments.
If there is one team that you really want to beat this year, who is it?
Bishop Fien.
Yeah, Bishop Fien.
Why Bishop Fien?
We have some unfinished business.
Yeah.
We don't think we played our best that game, but this year we could definitely give them a run for the money.
What do you think about the build up from the back strategy that coach employs and that you guys seem to work so well? How do you think that factors into your success?
I think it works well. That's one of our strong suits, so we kind of use that to our advantage and take on other teams using that.
You guys certainly seem to have no lack of offensive firepower. You put up, in this last exhibition game, you put up 6 goals, 3 of which came in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. Goals seem to come easy for you in some cases. Why do you think that is, Steph?
I think it's not necessarily just the forwards, but it's just like everybody that supports it up to that point, and then we have like a strong group of very skilled finishers that really can put the numbers on the board, and I think that's a great thing to have for our team.
Well, good luck on the season. Wish you all the best. We know you guys are going to do a great job.
Thank you so much.
Coach, here we are, kickoff of the season. So, you're looking at a roster where you have several returning players. You got to be feeling pretty good going into this season.
Yeah, we've got some great returners coming back, both starters as well as players that were subs last year, and we've added some key role players as well that are on the younger side.
So, Coach, you have several goalies, which is an abundance of riches. Most coaches aren't in that spot to have 3 really competent goalies. What's your strategy going into the season about who you're going to start or how you're going to rotate those girls throughout the season? We're
going to sort that out. We've got a jamboree tomorrow, but we're either looking at a 2 or a 3 player rotation through there. But to be determined, and we'll see how they do once they get some game time.
And one came in from another school.
Yeah, we had one transfer in, which was a pleasant surprise. So we got 3, like you said, 3 competent goalies, and the other thing is we added a full-time goalkeeper coach this year. So they're getting better and they're progressing every single day.
And your strategy last year was really to build out of the back and really have that kind of small triangle type of offense as you work your way up the field. Is that what you're going to continue to do, or are you making adjustments this year?
Yeah, we'll continue that. We always have a balance of that as well as playing direct, and a lot of that changes based upon who we're playing and what they're going to how they're going to try to defend us.
Predictions for how deep are we going into the playoffs?
We're taking it one day at a time. One day at a time. Every game is 0-0, and after we score, it's still going to be 0-0, and that's the way we're going to play it.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Hey, you've got your HCAM Girls Varsity Soccer broadcast team here. Tom, what do you think of the season?
Well, I think they have some great experience, and I think it's going to be a very fun season, and they're going to be extremely competitive, and hopefully they'll go far in the tournament.
I am super excited to see it. They have so many returning players. They run such a beautiful game, just the way they move the ball in the midfield. Their goalies are strong. I have watched this in the scrimmage and the preseason. I see no weaknesses in this team, Tom.
Absolutely. Several seniors coming back, great experience, so I think it's going to be a really strong year and a really fun season to cover.
Tune into HCAM and you'll see all the games live with Tom and me.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. We are here with new Hopkinton High School Athletic director, Ricky Andrade. Ricky, how are you? And welcome to Hopkinton High School.
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. I'm looking forward to a really successful season coming up.
Absolutely. And well, to start, can you tell us about your background and what led you to becoming the Hopkinton High School athletic director?
Sure. So I am coming from Needham High School. I worked there for 5 years. And I coached soccer, I coached track and field and unified track and fields, as well as worked in the special education department and did a number of other kind of roles throughout my time there. I also had an internship with the MIAA in the middle of that, kind of as part of my master's program with Northeastern. And so I was able to learn a little bit more about the kind of organizing body of high school athletics and, got to be a part of some planning for different committees and different events like the Sportsmanship Summit and some wellness events as well. And so 3 years ago now, I was given the opportunity to be the assistant athletic director over in Needham. And part of that job was overseeing a club sport aspect of athletics that was similar to interscholastic athletics, where the teams faced off against other schools, but they had a little bit of a different model because they practiced 3 times a week, and a lot of their practices and competitions were actually off-site. So those programs were like squash and fencing and sailing and ultimate frisbee, and those kind of all fell under my purview while I was in Needham. And Needham has the largest public school athletic department in the state. And so kind of coming from that, when I had the opportunity to interview for the Hopkinton position, I looked back at that and I said, this is a similar program in that there's a high emphasis on success in academics and in athletics. And I felt that my skill set fit that, coming from a spot where very similarly, the community and town, the school really emphasized academic excellence and athletic excellence and excellence in everything that they do. And so I felt kind of like a natural fit in Hopkinton. And I, relayed that through my interview process. And, I'm looking forward to continuing kind of the development and growth as the community continues to grow. And also looking forward to kind of potentially bringing on some more programs and giving more options to our student athletes to be able to compete in the things that they love to do. So that's really what's exciting about being in Hopkinton, and I'm looking forward to working with everybody.
I think what's great about your background is if they bring any of those other sports they don't have here, like fencing, I think you might have said sailing, all about them, so you'll be able to organize them well.
Yeah, they're definitely unique. So
absolutely. So you just started this position in July, and now we're in preparation for the fall season. How is preparation going for the fall season, and how are the teams looking so far?
Prep has been great. We're, athletic directors are always a season ahead, at least. So I'm actually, I've been looking not only at the fall, but also at the winter, making sure that our ice time is set up and our swimming pool set up, and schedules are kind of, our league schedules are set and non-league stuff are set. As far as the fall goes, we have great resources. And so, we have a schedule of practices and games that, unfortunately, due to some issues with busing and officials, may end up getting moved. So it's always kind of a puzzle that we have to put together. And it changes constantly. And we always I ask of my coaches and I ask of the community, like, be flexible. Things are changing constantly and things change day by day. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how our teams compete on the fields. I know, last year, boys of soccer made it to the state final. They're going to be pretty strong again this year. Girls soccer looks very strong as well. And field hockey is kind of up and coming as well. Volleyball, I know the tradition of volleyball here is again strong. And I know Emma, the volleyball coach, has done a great job with the program. And we had some great numbers come out for tryouts. And then, as always, our cross country teams are historically strong, and it looks like they're going to continue to compete and be top of the division. And then looking at football, football's we're going to always be optimistic. And I think Mark Sanborn's got a great program and he's developing some great kids. And, I look forward to seeing them be competitive in the league and in the non-league games and making sure that they're doing kind of, creating that culture that I know Mark wants to create.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing. It's been a lot of fun broadcasting these Hopkinton games recently because it seems pretty much every single team is very competitive throughout the state. So I think you'll have a good time watching these teams, especially some of these fall teams. So have you had a chance to meet any of the fall coaches? And what's that experience been like for you?
Yeah, I've met with every fall coach at this point. We have a really strong group of coaches that have been doing it for a while, many of whom are in the school as teachers. And so they have that background, that educational background that is great to have as a coach, where they see kind of things, not just strictly from a competitive, standpoint. They're looking at it kind of at the whole development of the student athlete and what's going to benefit them. And so that's been great. And the coaches, like I said, a lot of them, we were very fortunate that this fall I didn't have to hire a new varsity coach, which is not a common thing. And so, it's again, we've been fortunate to have coaches who have been there a long time, who know what they're doing and can kind of handle, all the pressures that come with coaching, and also do a good job at mastering their craft and kind of helping kids develop and grow. So I've met with all of them. I've met with most of our winter coaches as well. And so I'm trying to be kind of like a sponge and take in a lot of information, because again, they have all that information and they're great resources that I've been able to use throughout the start.
And how has the adjustment been from your prior job? I know there's a great support staff over there. Have they made it easy for you to adjust?
Yeah, no, they definitely have. Lou, our secretary, has been around for a long time and has incredible institutional knowledge and is so helpful just with everything from ordering to scheduling to, here's who to go to contact if you need help with this or that. Amanda, our trainer, has been here for a while now and is a fantastic trainer who really cares about the kids and is always at games and out at practices and make sure that people know that she's there to help them and to help them get back from injury. And so she's awesome. And then we actually just hired an assistant athletic director who is going to be a part-time assistant AD. His name is Jaquan James, and he's been great so far too. I'm looking forward to working with him, and I know that he's gonna bring a lot of value to the program as well.
That's terrific. And you mentioned that you'd like to see perhaps some new programs over at Hopkinton High School. I'm just curious, is there any programs in particular that you would like to see that you really enjoyed having a part of over at your previous work?
Yeah. So, one of the biggest ones that has come up is the kind of want for a boys volleyball team. In the spring in Needham, boys volleyball has won 3 straight state titles. So I've seen and been a part of a program that is very successful. And I can see that, that the coach over there has done a great job of growing that program. And I think that's something that could really, truly happen here. It will take time, but I think if the interest is there, it's something that I want to, start to expand on and really grow the program if we can. I'm also looking at trying to add more opportunities for some of our female athletes to get involved. In Needham, I started the girls flag football program in the last spring, which was an amazing program that, the girls got to play 10 games in the season. And then they actually ended the season at a tournament at Gillette Stadium on the big field. And it was a pretty awesome experience. And so I think, if the interest is there for that as well, that would be an incredible program to have. I'm planning on kind of sending out a list of a survey out to the student body to see, where the interest lies. I know that the population in this town has kind of flipped a little bit, and there's a lot of Southeast Asian people moving in. And so, if their interest is in cricket or in another sport that they're familiar with, maybe we look into trying to provide that sport within the program. So there's still a lot of moving parts, and I think there's definitely an appetite for some more programs that we could potentially offer. And so I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting input from the stakeholders, the students, to decide before deciding like what we're going to add and what we're going to look to improve upon.
Absolutely. That all sounds great to me. And we would certainly be happy to cover those programs on HCAM as well.
Yeah.
So, Ricky, I'm just curious, is there a favorite sport that you like to watch or follow?
So, I get asked this question a good amount, and truly, I enjoy watching all the student athletes play their sport that they love. One of the teams that's always near and dear to me is Unified Basketball and Unified Track and Fields. Unified Basketball is an incredible sport that brings together students with special needs and students who are typical students, and they get on the same court and they're playing together. And a lot of times, you don't know who is who, which is exactly what it's for. And so, you have kids that have never really been able to be a part of a team, and this allows them to be able to be a part of that, to be a part of our program and to be together. And so I think it's truly that's the foundation of what sports should be, is getting kids together to play and have a good time. And that's, to me, I love watching Unified Basketball games. I love watching Unified Track and Field meets. And I am a soccer guy, but I love watching all of our teams compete.
Well, speaking of that, you mentioned it earlier, the boys soccer team, they qualified for the state championship last year and had one of the toughest losses that I've ever seen, unfortunately, but it was a tremendous season. And this year they're ranked 18th by the Metro West Daily News in the state. Have you had a chance to check in on that team yet? I know they got a lot of great talent coming back.
Yeah, they do. They do have some talent coming back. They have some talent that came in this year as well. And so I know that expectations are high. I think, Coach Garrett Sawyer has done a great job of kind of resetting expectations, thinking forward and not thinking about the past, and making sure that the guys are focused on, what's ahead and kind of taking it day by day. Because I think that's important to know, you're not going to be able to just replicate what happened last year without a lot of hard work and effort, and a good reset a lot of times is what helps you get there. So I think the boys soccer team is in good shape this year.
Absolutely. And we'll be talking to the Hiller head coaches and captains very soon in our preview, which you'll be able to see right here on HCAM Sports Talk or our weekly newscast in some cases. And we're certainly looking forward to the fall season and working with you. Ricky, again, congratulations. Welcome to Hopkinton, and should be a lot of fun working with you and covering this fall season.
Thank you, Tom. I look forward to working with you, and I look forward to seeing everybody on the fields this fall.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of HCAM Sports Talk. Tom Nappy here. And today we were supposed to be joined by the guys, but unfortunately, a couple last-minute things came up, so it's just me. And we're going to talk some fantasy football in a moment. But first, I want to let you know our first Hopkinton Hillers fall sports broadcast takes place on September 5th. You can catch our broadcast schedule on our website, hcam.tv. We'll have all the varsity home games for fall sports, including boys and girls soccer, football, girls volleyball, field hockey. It's going to be an action-packed season, so be sure to be on the lookout for the HCAM Hopkinton Hillers broadcast schedule. It will be posted in the next week or so. And our first broadcast will be girls soccer on September 5th. And we're happy to announce that joining us for the girls soccer broadcast is going to be Peter Thomas from hopnews.com. He's going to do some color broadcasting with me. I'll be on play-by-play. Should be a fun time for girls soccer this season. They got some great players coming back, so we certainly look forward to the season for girls soccer, and of course boys soccer, who looks to get some revenge after a tough exit from the state championship last year. They had a tremendous season going all the way to the state championship, but fell in the final few minutes, and they look forward to hopefully getting back to that spot this year and maybe taking home the trophy. And of course, Hiller football, they were young last year. They're a little bit more experienced this year. We're expecting big things from Hiller football. So be on the lookout. It's going to be an exciting fall sports season here on HCAM. But the plan for today's show is we're going to talk some fantasy football with the guys. But unfortunately, a couple of them had prior commitments, and one of them had a bail last minute. So it's just me. But that's okay. And what we were going to do, our plan was, we're going to let you know who we think our top 3 at each position was, and maybe some sleeper picks that you could grab in the draft. Now, with the fantasy football draft coming up, I didn't want to leave you hanging, so we're going to do it anyway. I do have Steve Watson's picks, so I'll be able to read those off, who he thinks you should draft. And, of course, I got who I think you should draft or who I think could potentially be good picks this year. Now, my fantasy football record wasn't too great last year, so take it with a grain of salt. But we love talking football on this show, so let's do it. Let's have some fun. All right, the first position we're going to go over is quarterback. And Steve Watson, his top 3 quarterbacks in the NFL, he has Josh Allen of the Buffalo Bills at number 3, Joe Burrow of the Cincinnati Bengals at number 2, and Pat Mahomes of the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. Now, those might be the top 3 in the league, but one thing you have to look at is stats. That's the most important. Who is putting up those big numbers? In large part, I agree with Steve on many of these picks. And I certainly like all 3 quarterbacks, and I think all 3 of them are very good pickups. But my top 3, I got Joe Burrow as my number 3 of the Cincinnati Bengals. Hopefully he could stay healthy. He's had some injury problems in recent seasons, including last year. He was out for a couple games. But if he could stay healthy, he could put up a lot of points. And number 2, a guy I'm surprised Steve didn't include, Jalen Hurts. He is just incredible. Not only can he pass the ball, but he's also a tremendous rusher. I think he's probably the second overall biggest point scorer in the league. I'll let you know number 1 in a minute. But last season, he had 165 rush attempts, which is more than some of the key running backs in the league. And he had 13 rushing touchdowns, which is absolutely incredible. Jalen Hurts, that's a player that's probably going to go in the first round. So if you could grab him and you got one of those top picks, he's definitely highly recommended. And, of course, number 1, you got to go Pat Mahomes. He took another Super Bowl last season. He is just tremendous. And with Tom Brady retiring, I hate to admit it, but Pat Mahomes is certainly the number 1 most talented quarterback in the league right now. So there's our top 3 quarterbacks. Let's move on to tight ends. Who does Steve got for tight ends? At number 3 is Mark Andrews of the Baltimore Ravens. Great pick. George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers at number 2, and Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs at number 1. I think all 3 of those are tremendous pickups. As you know, tight end in fantasy football, not the highest scoring position, but if you could grab one of those 3 guys, you certainly got yourself a good tight end. My top 3 is a little different, but pretty much the same. At number 3, I got George Kittle. And number 2, Mark Andrews. Number 1, Travis Kelce. The only difference was I had Mark Andrews at 2, Steve had him at 3, and I got Kittle at 3, and Steve had Kittle at 2. Now, here's why I did that. I like George Kittle, and I actually think George Kittle has more talent than Mark Andrews when he's healthy. But injuries has been a huge problem for George Kittle. He's a risky pick, but certainly a worthwhile pick if he stays healthy. Now, my sleepers for tight ends, I got Mike Gesicki of the New England Patriots. I think he has the potential to really bolster this Patriots offense, which is certainly going to need some bolstering with their lack of receiving. But I think Gesicki was a good pickup by the Pats in the offseason, and I think he has a chance to put up some points and also be their key tight end. Hunter Henry is tremendous, but he's getting a little older now, so I really like Mike Gesicki. My other sleeper, Jawan Johnson of the New Orleans Saints. This guy came on strong in the second half of the season. He was absolutely tremendous in the second half of the season and put up a lot of points. And I think he's going to take a step up this year. He's a young guy. I believe it's his sophomore season, so he's a guy to look out for. One thing I did not
that I did not mention was my sleepers on quarterback. My sleepers on quarterback, Aaron Rodgers of the New York Jets. I think he's very happy with the change of scenery. The Jets have some good weapons to go around him. They also brought a couple of familiar faces that is familiar to Aaron Rodgers and Randall Cobb. And there's also another name that I'm forgetting off the top of my head right now. He was Lazard, Alan Lazard. So he's got Cobb and Lazard coming with him to the New York Jets. I think that's really going to help out Aaron Rodgers. And not only that, the New York Jets have a absolutely tremendous defense. And I said it all season last year. The one thing this Jets team is missing is a quarterback, and now they got one. So look out for the New York Jets. I hate to say that. I'm obviously a Patriots fan, but the New York Jets, I think, are going to be really good this season. My other sleeper quarterback, believe it or not, it's Derek Carr. Now, if you remember, Derek Carr was on the Las Vegas Raiders last season, and he had an so-so year, very subpar, not great. Raiders didn't really do much. They ended up having a losing season, but they dealt with a ton of injuries. And Derek Carr was a guy that needed a change of scenery. And now he has that change of scenery as he heads to the New Orleans Saints, and he's going to be their starter. And the Saints also have a very strong backup if anything shall happen to Carr. They got Jameis Winston as the backup. Now, if you remember last year, Jameis Winston had a brutal leg injury, and he was out for most of the season, and that essentially ruined the Saints' season. And will Jameis Winston be able to be the same? He looked pretty good in preseason. It is preseason, but he looked very good, and it's good to see that he's healthy. But Derek Carr, I think, is going to be a great starter, and I think is a worthwhile pickup. If you're picking up a quarterback in those mid to late rounds, Derek Carr is probably going to be available. So I think that's a guy to look at. And the Saints also have some tremendous weapons. They got some great weapons. They got Kamara at running back, and they also brought in what's-his-face from Detroit, who was one of the top running backs last season. Another name I'm forgetting. I should have wrote it down. And they have Juwan Johnson, a tight end that I just mentioned, and some good receivers as well. So look out for the New Orleans Saints. That team in general is a sleeper, and I think they're going to run away with the NFC South. That NFC South, very weak. The Saints, I don't think they are weak. I think they're a pretty strong team. So I think the Saints have a great shot here to do some damage, and I think they're certainly much improved from last season. All right, let's move down to wide receiver. Steve's top three includes CeeDee Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. He's a good receiver, good all-around asset to the Dallas Cowboys. Had a great season last year, could certainly put up some strong numbers. Number two is Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals. How can you not love Jamar Chase? He might be the next Randy Moss. Some of the catches he makes, some of those one-handers are just absolutely incredible, and he has all kinds of speed. And a guy who really lit the scene on fire last season is his number one pick, Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Tremendous athlete. I agree with Steve on that number one. He's certainly a worthwhile number one, but I have a different one, and I'll let you know who that is in just a moment. But if you can grab Justin Jefferson, you're probably going to have to do it at the very latest, the third or fourth round, because usually people take running backs first. It's certainly a worthwhile pickup. My top three receivers are Christian Watson of the Green Bay Packers. This is a guy that I think a lot of people are going to forget about because he didn't come on strong until like the last 3-4 weeks of the season. But when he came on, he came on. He was unbelievable those last few weeks of Green Bay's season. And he almost turned their season around, but they had too many losses by then to really do any damage. But Christian Watson, a guy to look out for. I highly recommend him. He has tremendous speed, and I think he's something special. So that's why I have him at my number three. And I actually have a tie at number three. I could not disinclude Tyreek Hill of the Miami Dolphins. My worry with Tyreek Hill is his quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa, does not have the arm that Pat Mahomes has. So I don't know if you're going to see as many of those burn-by-him plays that you saw in Kansas City from Tyreek Hill, but I think you're going to see some really good catches. He's the fastest receiver in the league, arguably, at this point. I think Christian Watson might be up there with him. But I got him tied at number 3 with Christian Watson. I'm sorry, I couldn't decide, but Tyreek Hill, good pickup, and he's probably going to fall a little bit. You might be able to scoop him up in round 2 or 3. Number 2, I got Justin Jefferson. I heavily agree with Steve. He is a tremendous talent, and he has great potential, and Minnesota has a pretty good offense. So Jefferson is going to find opportunities to get open. And my number 1, Jamar Chase. I put Chase at 1. He was injured a bit last year. So statistically, he didn't match the numbers of Jefferson. But I'll tell you what, if he stays healthy, he is Cincinnati's go-to guy, their main weapon, and he could burn by any cornerback. And if he plays all 17 games now this season, look out. I think he's going to be the league leader in everything. My sleeper picks for receiver. We're going back to New Orleans. Chris Olave, I think, is a good sleeper pick. And this is a guy that you could probably pick up in the mid to late rounds of the draft. He had a good season last year, and I think he was pretty underrated. And I think he's going to take a step up this season. It's his second season in the league. He had 72 receptions last year and 1,042 yards with 4 touchdowns. I think you're going to see those touchdown numbers go up. Derek Carr, more of a passing quarterback than Jameis Winston. Let's not forget, Winston also ran the ball a lot. You won't see that from Carr. You're going to see a whole lot more passing. So look out for those Saints receivers, especially Chris Olave, who's their number 1. I think that could be a great pickup that you could grab somewhere in the mid to late rounds of the draft. My other sleeper pick is Garrett Wilson from the New York Jets. This is a guy that you probably haven't heard of unless you watch a lot of Jets football. He's actually their number 1 this season, and it's his second season in the league. Last year, he had 83 receptions for 1,100.